What's up? This is Rutger from Chartmetric. Welcome to Emerge. Today we're explaining what and how cross-platform performance, our proprietary global digital artist ranking, works. And most importantly, how it can help you grow your music career. What is cross-platform performance? I know it's a mouthful, so we like to call it CPP. And what it is really a ranking that compares one artist to all of the other artists in our database, which is just above 5 million to date. So when you log into Chartmetric and you navigate to a particular artist's page, you'll be able to see their CPP rank at the top. And below that are different breakdowns in terms of country, genre, and engagement versus fan base rank. So engagement is going to be more now metrics like likes and comments and clicks, whereas fan base is going to be more long-term metrics like followers and subscribers. And if you scroll down below that, you'll see these sort of top-line stats by platform. So TikTok, Pandora, Spotify, Deezer, YouTube, Instagram, Shazam, Genius. And for most of these platforms, there will be a blue number that's next to, however monthly listeners or streams the artist has. And that blue number is telling you the rank of the artist on that particular platform and for that particular metric. So what CPP is essentially doing is taking all of these rankings on these various platforms and putting them into a big soup and then coming up with this overall ranking. So it tells you how an artist is doing worldwide across all of these different platforms and all these different metrics. In our particular case with CPP, we're looking at 16 different platforms, and that's going to include, Spotify, Pandora, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, SoundCloud, Wikipedia, Twitter. We have a really good article that dives into all of the platforms we're looking at with CPP and the metrics that are included there. You can navigate to blog.chartmetric.com to check that out. But that'll be a really sort of in-depth explanation of how CPP works. So once you understand what CPP actually is, I think the next best step is to try to understand how to interpret your own CPP rank. So as I alluded to before, the lower the number that you have in terms of your CPP rank, the better, because it's a rank. So you want to be number one, right? It's kind of like charting on the Billboard charts or something. You don't want to be 100, you want to be number one. So that's the first sort of way to attack how to interpret CPP. Another thing to understand with this particular metric is that this is updated every day. So every 24 hours, artists get new CPP ranks because that's just the state of the industry nowadays. It's very, very quick, and increased engagement happens really quickly, whether it's, virality on TikTok or virality on Instagram or a lot of playlist ads. That can happen literally overnight. So one thing to understand with CPP is that means there's a lot of volatility with it. We have tried to improve the volatility so it's not, going up and down all the time. But it is important to understand that your rank might change a lot from day to day, and that's just the nature of how other artists are doing as well. And if they're going super viral, it's going to affect your rank as well. All right, so another thing to understand on the flip side of that volatility is the trend over time for CPP. So you want to see if over time, are you as an artist improving your rank across all of the different streaming and social media platforms that you're on? Or is your rank sort of staying the same, or is it going down? And again, by going down, we actually mean the numbers going up. And by rank going up, we actually mean the numbers going down, so closer to number 1. So if we take Ari Lennox, for example, her rank today is around 2,547th overall. In terms of her fan base sub-ranking, she's at 2,765th, and her engagement is around 2,565th. So what we can see here is that there's a bit of volatility between February and March or so, and that can be caused by any number of reasons, whether it's playlist ads, maybe she wasn't as active on all of her platforms, but other artists were, and then around March she starts getting more active. But what you can see is that for the past, since March, her rank has stayed pretty consistent, hovering between or at around 2,000th or so. And again, that's out of 5 million artists in our database. And her fan base is actually a little bit more volatile than that. This could be, a number of different reasons as well. Maybe she's gaining a bunch of followers on Instagram because she's really her team is really focused on Instagram, but they're neglecting some other platforms, so she's either staying stagnant on that platform or even losing followers. That's a total hypothetical, but it's possible. But what's interesting here is that her engagement rank is actually pretty consistent. So people are, whether they're listeners or whether they are, diehard fans, they're really engaged with her music, whether that's on streaming platforms or on social media platforms. So that's really important to know, that they're consistently staying engaged. Okay, so that brings us to our next topic, which is the all-important question of how you improve your CPP rank. One easy way to do this is, especially if you think your CPP rank is just totally off, the first thing to do would be to check what data sources that we have linked for you. So if we take a look at Frank Ocean, for instance, you can see most of his streaming platform URLs are linked right here in the data sources section. So you have, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Deezer, YouTube, SoundCloud, Pandora, Genius, and Shazam. On social media, most of his social media URLs are linked as well, except for TikTok and Twitch, which he, I haven't checked lately, but he probably isn't active on, really. But all the other URLs are linked, so you're probably going to get a pretty good idea of how he's doing overall, because most of those URLs are linked. If we look at his guitarist, Sandy Alex G, on streaming platforms, he has less URLs linked. That doesn't mean he's not on those platforms, that just means they're not linked within our database. So that's going to give a bit of a skewed idea of what his actual overall ranking is in our system. And the same is true for his social media, and I imagine, like Frank Ocean, he's probably not active on TikTok and Twitch, but I imagine he does have like a Bandsintown, for instance. So that's the number one step, is to make sure all of your URLs are linked, so we can sort of calculate it, throw it into our database, and give an accurate representation of cross-platform performance. Once you have that figured out, another thing you can do is compare your engagement rank to your fan base rank, and compare that in turn to your overall CPP rank. And if there's some sort of major discrepancy, like if engagement and fan base are very far off from one another, that will give you a clue that one of them is something you probably need to work on a little bit. If we take this case, for instance, Engagement rank is, 90,000 or so, while fan base is 48,000 or so. That's quite a big discrepancy there. So overall, you're getting like a 70,000-ish overall CPP rank. And what that tells you is you probably have to do some work on the engagement front, on engaging your fans. If your engagement is a lot lower than your fan base is, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because that means you're still growing your fan base, but you just need to do a little bit of a better job of engaging that fan base. You can also look at various platform trends to sort of get a little bit more granular about it. So if you know that you have to work on your engagement, then you're probably going to want to look at your Wikipedia views, see how they're trending over time, check out your retweets, see how those are trending over time. In this case, the numbers are pretty small, which is, probably why the engagement rank is pretty small. But of course, the sort of more fan base based metrics like followers are much more consistent and much more substantial as well. From there, you want to sort of assess what those weak spots are, whether it's, unlinked Chartmetric URLs, or a need to improve your engagement, or a certain platform you need to improve on, and then, lay out a sort of strategy in order to do that and ultimately improve your overall rank when it comes to CPP rank. So all this brings us to maybe the most important question, which is, does CPP rank really even matter? Like, why should I care about this? So in our view, it matters because it gives you an idea of where you need to improve and how you stack up against other artists, and how you might be able to learn from other artists, which is something that I've talked about in past videos. I think a good sort of illustration of this is if you go to our artist list, the primary or the default sorting is by CPP rank. So it tells you who's number one across all these different platforms that go into this calculation. And, in this pool of 5.1 million artists that we've been talking about. So you can see, like right now, Justin Bieber's number one, BTS is number two. But if you want to see how you can learn from other artists who are maybe at a slightly better ranking than you are, or at an equal ranking, you can go to this filters button, and that'll bring out this little menu on the right. And then you'll be able to, filter. You can slide this filter to sort of get to exactly the cross-section of these 5 million artists that you want to get to. You can also filter by genre, by country, and that'll help you really hone in on the kinds of artists that you want to maybe emulate or learn from, so that you can build upon your own strategies and improve your own CPP rank, but most importantly, improve your own relationship with your fans, which is ultimately what this is all about. Alright, so that's it. Don't forget to throw us a like and click that subscribe button. If you want to dive even deeper, check out blog.chartmetric.com. You can also listen to our Chartmetric podcast on your favorite podcast platform. It's called How Music Charts. And you can also say hi on our socials. Until next time.